to be a Canes fan. This goddamn team. It's the same joke that we make fun of every other team in the world. Oh, Maple Leafs. Yeah, same thing. Gonna work this year, though, right? Oh, yeah, run the core four. It's gonna be the year. Oh, I grew up a Sharks fan, actually. Yeah. Every single year it was, oh, next year's the year. Yeah, next year's gonna be the year. Yeah, it always was. Capitals, of course, it finally was the year. They finally did it. But, there was a lot of spinning tires for a while. And Bruins, though, they won their one cup. But, a lot of time after that, like almost a decade plus, I think, right? Who's going to be the year once again? But no, the Hurricanes, though. It's going to be next year now, right? Yeah, of course it is. So, of course, this is the video about the Carolina Hurricanes sucking ass in the Stanley Cup, in the Eastern Conference Finals. Being, of course, we got that one win. We finally did it, Broke the curse, 1-16 since 2006. Of course, that's the year they won the Stanley Cup. So ever since then, they've only gotten one singular win in the Eastern Conference Finals. And they've gotten there a couple times. Handful of times, actually. Few times. And they've gotten swept in most of them, except this one. But I would basically call it a sweep for, if Rod Brind'Amour wouldn't call last time's a sweep, then this one's basically a sweep, if we're going by that logic. Of course, 6 years in a row they made it in the into the Stanley Cup playoffs, and each year they've won at least one round, and then they will lose horribly and horrifyingly in embarrassing, stupid, dumb, ugly, really sad to watch fashion. And it's the same thing every single time. Is they play a team that they're better than, and they squash them. They play a team this year, another team they play that are that way or way better than, and then squash them. And then we run into the Rangers. We run into the Panthers, and that's about it. And finally run into a team that just smacks us in the face and sends us on our merry way back down to the Outer Banks for the summer. So, what are some things about this goddamn team that need to change? Or just kind of an outlook on this team, right? So some people are saying fire Rod Brind'Amour. And if you are in that camp, you're either an idiot or stupid. Or just a stupid idiot. Because that would be the dumbest thing in the world. This is not his fault whatsoever. Rod Brind'Amour probably is one of the best coaches in the NHL. To be completely honest, top four. I feel like a lot of people, coaches, to bring this much out of their team every year to win at least one round is kind of crazy. And to get them to be playing such a style and strategic style of hockey, it is not Rod's problem. You know what is the problem, though? When you have Jess Berry, Kotkaniemi on your second line. When you have Jordan Staal, a continuous guy, always playing and not a kind of guy that is getting fourth line minutes. He is a constant on the ice. You see him pop up all the freaking time watching the games. When you have Seth Jarvis bouncing around, Stanky bouncing around the lineup all the time, and the face of your franchise is Sebastian Aho, who can't bury the biggest chance for them to tie up the game and keep trying to survive in this series. And that is the face of your team. That is the problem with the Carolina Hurricanes, is not the fact that this team has a coaching problem. It is the fact that this team is horribly managed and has done zero to do anything finally to change things, right? Let's take a look at the team that just beat our fucking asses off, right? Let's take a look at the Florida Panthers, okay? The Florida Panthers, they said, we won the President's Trophy in the best year we've ever had as a team. But then we lost in the first round of the playoffs, right? I think it was the first round. They got beat pretty embarrassingly. I think it's Boston, right? Maybe it was Tampa. Whatever. Doesn't matter. But they said, now we won the President's Trophy. We're really running things really good here. We got a star player in Barkov, and we got Ekblad on the back end, but something's missing. You know what? Jonathan Huberdeau, that French guy, and Uyghur, they didn't really do too much for our team. What if we take the issue and send it out of town? And then they did that. And in return, they got the second best player on this team. One of the best players in the NHL. One of the best playoff players in the NHL in Matthew Tkachuk. And guess what? They are now the most unbeatable team in the NHL. When have the Hurricanes looked at this team other than finally when Marty Necas, you can't spell Canes without Necas, they finally take the guy who's having a career year looking like a star and they say, get out of town, buddy, Mikko Rantanen. And from what everyone says, Mikko did not want to play or do anything with the Hurricanes. And also, it's his contract year. A lot of times, when those kind of trades happen with really high-profile stars like that, you try to get them to sign to a contract, extension, right? And they usually get to talk to the player and, see if things will work out. And I'm not entirely sure, where the fog is cleared and what everyone hears. I'm sure everyone hears a different thing. They believe a different path. But what the general census, I think, is the fact that Mikko Rantanen wanted nothing to do with the Hurricanes. Apparently wanted to do nothing, didn't want to stay there, didn't care, and was upset about being traded. And when he got there, he showed that completely on the ice. Now, of course, they traded him for what they could. And, yeah, they traded him for what he could, which I really like. Owen, awesome. He looks so unreal. It's only his rookie year. The guy is so good. He's got that super fight in him. He's got that dog in him, right? He's got that dog, and he's got such skill, such fight in him. I love the grittiness that guy's bringing to the team. But Rantanen, though, right? And I'm not saying you kept Rantanen, right? Rantanen, I don't think was going to work out because he didn't want to be there in the first place. But it's just they finally pulled the trigger on getting a star player like Mikko Rantanen instead of all these other times with Timo Meier, which I now looking at him in New Jersey. I don't know if I'd really want Timo Meier on the team. But, it's that was in the past, and they didn't pull a trigger then. And then, guys like Marchessault, right, who just won a Conn Smythe, and they need some goal scoring in the playoffs because they lose games by one goal a lot of times, like in 2023 against the Panthers where they were all one-goal games. But no, they look past that guy and say, nah. Steven Stamkos opens up. And now I don't know, it's debatable about how these guys are playing on the Predators and how the Predators turned out, but I think, it's a different situation. If you give, and he already had, a lot of, I think Stamkos had the most slap shot goals, and he was getting pretty good handful of goals on the power play, I believe. You don't think that a team like the Canes, when they had that power play at the end of the third period down by one goal, they couldn't have used a guy like that? It's just they passed up on all these opportunities, and they finally get a guy who has no interest in being here, trading away a guy whose name is in the name of your fucking team, and they decide that is what's going to be the solution. This team is infuriating to watch. And that's not all, folks. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, I like the dice roll, but that's the guy they rolled the dice on for an offer sheet and signed to a big deal. I get you didn't know how that was pan out, but it's just I feel like Kotkaniemi didn't look great when he was in Montreal, and then when he was moved here, it's been pretty much the same thing. And not just that, but this team is old as hell. Jordan Staal, Orlov, Burns is debatable because I don't think Burns is the problem with this team at all. I know a lot of people kind of hate him, but Burns is not the problem. Martinook, I like Marty Party, do like him a lot, but still, he's not the fastest. And in a team where, you need to upgrade the team, you can have a couple, one or two veteran guys to really help the presence out. But when you have these guys that are just slow and just taking up time, Taylor Hall, I like the idea of the trade, to be fair. It didn't work out. And it's just things over and over again not working out for the Hurricanes. And it's them picking their battles, I feel like. It's them picking the wrong battles to take up. And to me, it's over and over again. But I will say, the thing about the Hurricanes that makes me at least happy as a fan is that this team's future is not over by any means. This team has a lot of young guys. Aho is still young. Jarvis is still young and still growing. Stankoven, of course, is now super young. You have Nikishin, who's looked phenomenal in the beginning of his career in the NHL. You got Scott Morrow coming up, right? You have a ton. Blake is still emerging as a talent. He was super underrated rookie this year. They have a ton of phenomenal talent that are still growing on this team, and they have close to $30 million in salary cap space. Now, of course, that's going to go to extensions and to guys like Jarvis and stuff that you're going to get their money paid. But they have enough room to get a couple good key pieces, right? Or one good key piece and build out the depth. They do have that. So there isn't all doom and gloom, but it is just the same thing. Is that next year, when we next year comes strolling around, and this team is a playoff team, and we go into the playoffs once again, are things gonna look different? I don't think so. I don't think Sebastian Aho is the face of the team. I think Sebastian Aho is a great player to be the centerman for a great winger like Svechnikov. But Svechnikov feels like the really good winger to a great center. Neither of them are like the star piece. They need that one guy, and I don't know who that is. Is it Mitch Marner? I don't think so. I don't really know. And of course, I think the 2026 free agency class or 27 free agency class is huge. So maybe in 3 years or 2 years now, they'll pick up a nice player like Matthews or Connor McDavid or something like that. That's not going to happen. But I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to go for. Maybe they get a guy like Marco Rossi, trade him from Minnesota. Maybe that's what they do. But is that going to save the team? No. So, Canes, what the fuck? I hate you. And thank you for all the sadness. So, that is all I got to say. So, too sweet. If you like this video, please subscribe. And until next time, have an amazing day. And ta-ta for now.